afternoon, good evening, good metal. My name's Coop and welcome to the Spoken Metal Show. This episode, quite a long one. I think we gave like 2 hours long, but this one I laughed a lot, and we laughed a lot. We've covered all kinds of stuff, and definitely going to be someone we'll get on again. But it was a sit down with the fantastic Ian Andrews, who's a sound engineer, sound guy, whatever sort of however you want to explain that. I think he does the sound in our local venue to me called The Outpost. He's done lots and lots of venues, hugely experienced in that kind of whole field. And I'm one of the first sound guys we've ever had on the show. And I've known Ian a while now. We met at several shows at the Outpost that we got talking. And a lot of people suggested that I talk to him anyway, that it'd be a really interesting conversation. And it was. So, it was almost imperative that I get him on the show. Well, I've been messing around with kind of the show format, reducing the amount that I do each week because some of them seem to be getting lost and falling between the cracks. And and then doing the show on Friday, which is the live show, and then announcing the guest and then maybe putting the guest on afterwards, uploading the show afterwards. It gives us a time to. I want to get a bit of a 360 of conversations from each, as you tell me what you think about the show and what you think about the guests and what you like and what you don't like. And wow, a lot of people getting onto the show now. A lot of listenership's moving right up now, and there's a lot of feedback every time I put it out there. People messaging me who I should talk to and what I should talk about. And we cover quite a lot of stuff on this sit down. It's with the fabulous Ian Andrews.
Ian Andrews finally getting to. I always say finally a lot because there's these people who you really have a list of people who you want to talk to. And Ian, ever since I met him at the Outpost at one of the shows, I've been meaning to get on the show, and a lot of people have said you really need to speak to Ian. He's got a lot to say. Really interesting person. So without further ado, welcome to the show. Ian, how are we doing?
Not too bad. Lockdown's not been too bad. The garden's looking great.
We talked about every household job has been done to within an inch of its life in my house now. It's ridiculous. But so when we do these things, I mean, we've got a lot to cover. We were talking off the show about some of the things that Ian's been involved in, and it's just a treasure trove of stuff that we need to cover. There's so much. Where to start? I suppose the first thing we naturally do is we talk about the first music you hear and start to get into. What would that have been? Might not have been metal, whatever it may have been.
Wow. Okay. First music. Well, I've always been like into music from when I was like much younger.
Yeah.
I suppose I really got into music when I was about when will it have been? Around about 8 years old or something like that. Yeah. When we got the went into I heard ABBA.
Yeah.
On the radio, and sort of like my ears pricked up sort of thing. I don't know whether it was the harmonies or what it was. I can't even remember what record it was, but it was ABBA. Not long after that, I started listening to this and that, and getting into whatever was around the time. And I suppose, like my sister likes to remind me quite often, I was into Suzi Quatro. Was one of the first I was into. And I had her pin up on the back of my door.
Yeah.
Who didn't?
Suzi Quatro was the first time I saw a lady playing bass as well.
I went to
that blew me away that she was a bassist and can properly play as well,
Absolutely, yeah. She's underestimated in the bass zone, as they call it.
Yeah.
No, I went to see it, the British Music Experience, down the front.
Yes,
She was on there. When was it? Late last year. They went to see her do like a Q&A thing, and she was talking about it. And then there's a movie that they had of her life and stuff. I was surprised. I was surprised that her second name is actually Quatro.
It's Quatro, yeah. It's not a stage name.
Weird, yeah.
She was like, I remember like she watching Top of the Pops back in the day. She was a real kind. I remember thinking, fucking hell, she's fucking hardcore. She's playing bass and not giving a fuck. She's fronting the band and all that. And it was very much like, first time a sort of powerful woman in music that was really kind of going out there and getting it done, So Suzi Quatro was on the posters. You were listening to ABBA. What else came up?
Well, it was sort of ABBA and Suzi Quatro, and then what happened then was punk broke out, didn't it? Not long after that. So when I was a youngster, I was desperately into punk. The first album I bought was Nevermind the Bollocks.
Yeah.
My mum was very pleased when I brought that home. She said, "What on earth is this that you brought home?" Sort of thing. And I
people forget that now it's almost like de rigueur. You can have something quite like, you know, in your face on the cover, but the cover of the album is simply Nevermind the Bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols. That's what it is. It's in multicolored letters, but that's what it is. It's on Front Street, and people maybe don't realise, especially when it was released, just how fucking seismic that was. That it was saying bollocks, the word bollocks, like, you know, they had like God Save the Queen. It was saying there was so many taboos broken. That must have been fairly earth-shattering. Then the Pistols being like one of the first records you buy. That's it.
Well, it was just for 6 years. I think it was the sort of the guitar chords. They were really, really powerful, you know.
Yeah.
And it was me mate's brother who actually had it on his house. And I walked in after school or something like that, and I was listening to them, and I was asking, saying, "What's this? What's this?"
Yeah.
And I was like straight into it, you know, and so straight in. Anyway, I used to go to town every weekend after that, like, you know, going to Nems and Probe and whatever, you know, buying all sorts of this, that, and the other. So my mum was never happy with some of the covers I brought home, but it was the music I was into, not the covers, you know.
Yeah. So was the Pistols kind of like a gateway into punk then? Did you go into like the Buzzcocks and things like that? And
yeah, but it was definitely the Sex Pistols, because then sort of like you go looking a little bit backwards, and then obviously you try and keep up to date with everything then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were going to like the Probe, ladies and gentlemen, for those that are listening from not based in the Northwest. There's a wonderful record store. There's quite a few sort of still in existence. It was a wonderful store. I remember, Probe being all kinds of little things they used to do. I remember buying one of the first CDs I bought was from Probe, and they put like stamps on the CDs and stuff like that. It was just real. It's a wonderful place, Probe. Like, yeah, it's still going, right, isn't it? Probe's still going. It's
it's in a different form now, like, you know, compared to where it was. I obviously every Saturday we walk in there, and behind the counter was obviously Mr. Pete Burns was there. He worked behind the counter. And I remember a few times walking into Probe, I remember distinctly buying 3 records one Saturday, giving him them, took them off. He looked at me, he said, "Don't know why you're buying them. The 2 of them are shite."
It's very Pete, yeah.
And I told him, just said, "So well, fuck off, you're not buying them anyway." You know, just like straight back. And he liked the attitude. So every now and again we'd have a little like chat behind, you know. Obviously, he was in all his makeup and his de rigueur, as they call it. Like,
yeah.
He's a very flamboyant guy, but God, what an ego. Yeah.
People forget that you know, before you could go, you went online and bought the records you wanted to listen to, or even went to your local HMV or whatever and bought a CD, or the supermarket and bought a CD. You would go to a record store, and the guy or girl behind the counter would give you an opinion. You would go up with 3 or 4 records, and he would say it's shit. Like you like Pete did. He would go, "You don't want that album. You want." They were gatekeepers. They were like, "Oh, you don't listen to Green Day. You want to listen to like the Stiff Little Fingers." You know, they would these gate. Yeah, you had to almost defend your purchase. I remember being in Skelly's, Skeleton Records. I love that place, and buying. Who was it? It might have been Kiss. I think it was Kiss Alive. And having to almost defend it to 3 other people in the shop as I was buying it while I was buying it. It was because, and we'll get around to this because it was a conversation that we had the last time I think we saw each other, where you talk about going on a Saturday to buy a record, you know, all week working or whatever, or saving up your pocket money or whatever it may be, going to the record shop with your clutch with your money and picking out a record and buying it. It was a whole experience of doing that. You take the record back. You couldn't hear it straight away. You would take the record back. You would sit there. There was a whole ceremony of listening to the record and fully immerse yourself in the record. And I think one of the things that we were talking about the last time we spoke at a venue, I was talking about how we've lost that a little bit, if not totally, that whole sort of sanctity of buying music.
It was a shopping trip. It was like going to the supermarket, but you're actually going just purposely to go and buy records and whatever. You know, nowadays it's easy. You sit there And if you're still like into the vinyl or whatever you buy now, it was a shopping trip. We used to go Saturday lunchtime. We would come home to tea time, and we like where Probe was in town. There was the Rumbelows over the road. There was Nems at the back of the shop, which was in the cellar. And yet they used to do some amazing records down there, you know, like punk and rock and all that sort of stuff. So we'd walk backwards and forwards, waiting for them to get their delivery in, you know, because we knew they used to get them in Saturday afternoon, but we didn't know what time it was. So we'd be walking backwards and forwards, waiting for the first shot in, you know. So we bought some gems, you know, first off, like cutting the box open.
Yeah, well,
There's
the story of like the Beatles and stuff getting a lot of their US singles from sailors who would come over and he'd buy singles off them. There was just like kind of almost underground network of getting a single, Chuck Berry single or whatever, you know, a Wilson Pickett single or something like that, and they would go and listen to it. I love that how almost like kind of limited, because everything's so accessible now, and you can listen to a rare B-side at the click of a button. Having to find it and then finding it is just makes it all the more precious, that thing, when you actually find it, you know.
Yeah.
I think we've maybe lost that then. You know, I think because now I can listen to an album at the touch of a button. We've maybe you don't really feel the need to sit down with an album and go, okay, I don't get it at first, or it doesn't kind of blow me away, but I'll listen to it, I'll get into it. Now it's like, if I don't get into it in the first couple of moments, I'm not going to get into it at all. That's definitely changed listening habits, I think.
Well, I remember listening to your show with Joe Mortimer not so long ago, and you passed on that comment straight away. You said, you know, music's so disposable nowadays. Kids don't have record collections. They just don't. No. Everything's Spotify or online or whatever, you know, so they can listen to it once, don't like it, just like they never listen to it again, you know. It's very disposable, and you know, sort of attention spans are so much shorter now as well. If you actually buy something, you're going to give it a chance because you spent your money on it. So
exactly,
you have it. That's the difference, you know. So things have changed completely.
I think the example I gave when talking to Joe was that I've got a copy of Miles Davis's Bitches Brew, which I know, because all the people who have any weight in music tell me is a seminal piece of work. It's a seminal piece of music. It's a seminal album. And every couple of months I will put it on, and it's like wading through treacle. I don't understand it. I know it's good, but it just dwarfs my mind. I can't get my head around it. Like listening to John Coltrane and stuff like that. It's too big. I can't quite get, you know. Eventually I'll crack it and I'll start to get into it. I did the same with Zappa, for example. It was so musically dense, it took a while to get into. Maybe that whole process is lost by someone who goes, oh, well, I don't get it straight away. That's it. I'm never going to listen to that again, and puts it to the side. Like, you know, and I definitely think we've lost a bit of that. Did you find then there was was a particular artist that you gravitated to when you were buying records now, or was it a genre, or was it a band, or what was it that you sort of bought everything by?
Well, obviously, like you're always looking out for like anything, like imports or whatever, Sex Pistols, because they were your first choice. But then there were other bands, you know, like Stranglers, Buzzcocks, you know, the bigger punk bands. But I used to listen to a lot of John Peel. I was a John Peel addict. I used to listen to his shows regularly, and his shows were so all over the place. That's 1 minute you're listening to, like, you know, German industrial techno, and the next thing you listen to Brazilian flute music. It's madness. So his shows are incredible. But we used to always try and write down things that you heard and things you liked.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I never liked the undertones. No, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Theirs, you know, I couldn't get into the undertones at all.
It's funny you mentioned John Peel. Actually, like, you know, John Peel is for me, he's up there as being one of those musical gatekeepers. I mean, I often talk to people who don't know John Peel is, and you would, God forgive you if you didn't know. You should really look him up. But it's when at his height, when he was a radio DJ, for those who aren't aware, he was advertised above Hendrix on the flyer. That's how big Peel was. And then in his later years, his listening, his kind of listening things, he's had a voracious appetite for music. He would go in the halls in down the radio show and go, what's new in Indian music? what's new in Bangor, what's going on. He had this voracious appetite for great music. I saw his when he got his fellowship at the John Moores. He did a speech which was brilliant, talking about how he had no education and he still managed to do okay. And afterwards, I met him and got the chance to tell him, I was like, "Thanks for playing Napalm Death." That, you know, he used to play lots of Napalm Death at one point. But what was interesting is he didn't seem at all surprised, and he looked at me always funny. He was like, "But it's really good." So I got into it, and he would like he would get into one band and then get every single thing by that band. He would suck it all up and then spew it out on this radio show, and it just became, for me, certainly the same. It became required listening, because it wasn't any genres. It was just like the best of music. It was, this is what you need to be hearing. This is what's great at the moment. And I think that you know, there's not too many people doing that. We've lost radio stations almost entirely now, haven't we? Well, they've almost kind of, the internet's almost destroyed that.
Well, the radio shows nowadays don't tend to be too specialised. You'd obviously get specialised shows and what have you. But the likes of John Peel, is just, I mean, it's legendary. I mean, he used to actually go physically searching for the music, which not many people do. I suppose you get the likes of Giles Peterson nowadays. He'll do sort of similar. You know, they go physically searching for music that people would swing their ears. Funny enough, it's John Peel. His autobiography is incredible. Man Gave the Marches. Have you read it?
I haven't, no. I'm a huge fan of autobiographies as well.
He didn't finish it when he died.
Right.
His daughter finished it off for him. And it tells you about his life story, and it goes through his musical, what he went through music, playing Glastonbury. And it's one of the best stories I have ever heard in my life or read was John Peel turning up at Glastonbury with his box of music. And he turned up, and he went on stage. He said, "Right, okay, I'm here to do my set or whatever, you know, on Glastonbury's like pyramid stage or whatever." And there was no turntables. So what they did was Michael Eavis had to sort of cart a stereo radiogram thing from his house all the way to the stage, and they put a mic on the speaker, and that's what he played his set on the phone.
I love it. I love that. I love that.
On the stage, it's amazing. But they don't do that shit now. I've done some weird stuff with instruments, strap and snare drums to bar stools and stuff. But you know, I've never done that sort of stuff now.
Well, that's like that. You're talking the Wild West, and you know, you forget like as well. You know, Michael Eavis. I met Michael Eavis at Glastonbury and said to him, I said, you know, he's got a huge heart. Like this all started from someone letting him he let a load of people on his farm. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's crazy. It's like me going, come to my backyard now and play a show, and that's how it started. Like, yeah, you know, and just what a great, you know, and kind of learn to move with the business. You know, he was just as au fait with the bands that were on. He knew who Dizzy Rascal was in the same way he knew Fleetwood Mac was. Real good sort of vibe for music, and his daughter as well. Like, you know, it's hugely important. I think probably one of the only people who's doing a similar thing to John Peel at the moment is Henry Rollins. Does a radio show, and he collects vinyl, and he does a very similar thing to John Peel. Talks a little bit about the record and then puts it on. I'd suggest checking that out. He's got a show on Berlin, on a Berlin radio show, and that's really good. Really deep cuts. A lot of punk on there as well, obviously being in Black Flag, but he was a huge fan of like Buzzcocks and the Damned and things like that. So at this stage, are you going to shows then? When does it make the leap from you know, picking up records and listening to them to seeing live?
Well, I was actually weirdly lucky enough to go to like shows really, really early. Again, the same guy, the same mate's brother, who sort of got me into punk in the first place. He was sort of well connected in town, you know, through like Eric's and all the gig venues and stuff. And I went to my first punk gig when I was 11.
Wow, I love it.
He had 2 spare tickets for me mate Brian and me, and he said to me, he said, you know, do you and Brian want to go, sort of thing. So I had to tell me mum, right, Mum, I'll be home later, sort of thing, you know, right?
Yeah.
And she said, who are you going with? I said, well, no, with Brian's brother. And she went, all right, okay.
That's it.
And you know, for the life of me, I can't even remember who it was. I can't remember who the lineup was. I just can't remember because I was so overawed. I sort of to the side at the back out the way where all the madness went on because it was scary. I'll be
Yeah,
totally honest with you. It was like, I mean, I've done some gigs myself and worked with a few, but never to the point where they're jumping up and down in piles and spitting at each other. Now it was a bit, it was bonkers.
Well, because there was a lot of stuff that kind of got brought in from the punk days was stuff that people had never seen before. So pogoing, which for those that were unaware, is essentially jumping wildly on the spot. But it was never done before that. It was like Lemmy said, you know, there was a time before rock and roll, and the dancing was all very kind of like couples dancing and swinging and that type of thing. Pogo was like people jumping at that, actively trying to jump into each other. And then you had people spitting on people. Now, for those that don't maybe know, it was an affectionate thing. So back then, if you were very good as a punk band, the crowd would spit on you. Jules Holland talks about this all the time. The crowd would spit on you, and it was a sign of affection rather than, you know, if you were shite. And but these were like new things, weren't they? People weren't seeing this. People weren't going to a show and getting a bloody nose. They didn't expect this. That must have been mind-blowing at that age to see that. Exciting, though, but mind-blowing.
Crazy stuff. It was. So we went from that. And then, to be honest with you, it like that happened sort of for about maybe 2 or 3 times or something like that. And then I didn't do another gig then till like sort of when it was about 15, 16 or something like that. We ended up going to the Royal Court.
Bless him.
I can't remember who that was either. I still, you know what, right? I'll be honest with you now. I mean, I've done that many gigs and that many bands now. Sometimes you forget who I've seen, who I've worked with. But in your defence, I think it's because at the times you were going to see the bands, it was more for the event of going to see a band rather than the actual band itself. There was the odd time when you knew you were going to see stuff, you know, Echo and the Bunnymen. They were always a massive favourite of mine. I got into them later on. They're obviously the second best Liverpool band in history behind the Beatles. No one can argue with the Beatles. I hate people who say, "Oh, the Beatles are overrated and this, that, and the other." It's bollocks. Let's face it. You know, they're all in it for the ego and all to get a reaction. I think sometimes, you know, I think it's a bit stupid. I mean, God knows without what they did and how they got on with things, where we'd be now with recording or whatever, even recording methods and stuff. And Echo and the Bunnymen are a massive favourite of mine, because Ian McCulloch is basically what Liam Gallagher's been trying to do for years.
Yeah, that's incredibly valid. Yeah, incredibly valid. You wouldn't have the Stone Roses, you wouldn't have Oasis, you wouldn't have the whole movement if it wasn't for that, like, you know, things like that, and Icicle Works and stuff like that. You wouldn't have that. No. I think you're right. I think they probably massively, I mean, the people that love them really love them, but I think a lot of people pass them by, unfortunately, Echo and the Bunnymen, and Scousers and stuff are rightly proud of the Beatles, as they should be, as important as they are. And it's a shame that sometimes maybe Bunnymen don't get the love that they deserve. Like, you know, I think they're incredibly important to certainly sort of songwriting, and then that movement into kind of electronica and that type of thing. They were kind of the first sort of catalysts for that. So do you remember the shows that you do remember, the bands that you do remember seeing? Do you remember like how the shows were kind of played out? And by that, I mean, like, this is pre-barriers, isn't it? This is pre kind of the security that we have now. It's pre all that, isn't it?
Yeah, but when you get, your arms are on the front of the stage, you're just like leaning in. You could actually put your arms on the stage, and you know, God knows if they like start treading on your fingers or whatever, you know, because it was all a bit crazy. But no,
well, that's you where you would literally plonk yourself on front. There'd be wires and shit, and you would sit and you can see old videos of Thin Lizzy playing in the Rainbow and shit, and people are leaning on there. It's amazing. It's mad. I love it. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's dangerous.
But it's like it's good. What's that? Sorry.
There's no give. Say there's a push from the back. There's nowhere to go, and you're going to get crushed. Madness. Yeah. I think that's why they started barriers in there, because it's just getting a bit madness on it.
Yeah, and it looked. I think barriers started actually in Europe, for a lot of the venues, and then I know that Rock am Ring was one of the first sort of ones that adopted it, and I think some of the stuff came from football as well. Obviously, you know, some of the tragedies that happened within football about crowd controls and stuff. that kind of bled over to live music, and it's probably for the best. But there is a part of me that loves seeing Donington in like the 80s, where it's just a field of people and there's bonfires going off, and there's just no barriers at all. There's a part of me that loves that. But I guess we can't have that anymore. That's why we can't have nice things anymore, you know. So when you go to these shows now, are you making the connection from the recorded music to the live music? And by that I mean, you listen to the record and then go, right, I need to see this person live, and then going to see them live?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, later on, obviously, like, because you're getting towards the end of school, you're getting to sort of 15, 16, and you've left school and you get your first job, and your money's getting spent on, obviously, music and that. But obviously, like, you're starting to look into like the lineups in gig venues and stuff, and find, oh, I like them, I like the look of them, and going to all these like different shows and that, and then you find the discos and beer and stuff, you know. So there's that on top of everything else. It's just a complete like mishmash of the early 80s, you know. Yeah.
Which sort of camp did you come from in the dressing up? Where were you then?
No.
Where do we come?
Don't start trying to put makeup on me, mate, honestly.
And if you can show us some pictures, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So at this stage, when you're going to shows and stuff like that, do you remember the first time you were properly blown away? When you went to see an act and it was almost like a religious experience, where it's like, you're completely blown away?
Yes, it was Bowie, David Bowie.
Oh, shit.
Went to see Bowie in 85, was it? Something like that. Okay. And completely stood there with mouth open, just like, can't believe this is going on. I mean, before that, there's been obviously like those moments when, you know, bands play your favourite tracks and, you know, you're dancing around, you get swept away and all that business. A few like fall on the floor moments when you're drunk and stuff. But no, it's something here when you physically stood there. I was stood there in a field and literally stood there with my mouth open and I couldn't believe.
Because you know it's greatness you're watching.
Oh, yeah. The guy's talented. He wasn't just an artist, a songwriter, he's a performer. And the guy is like, he's like an all-time hero of mine, obviously, like so many people of others, and he's influenced so many people as well. And again, like the likes of sort of the, you know, I'm not sure that he even gets the recognition he deserves. Such a massive star he was, because he changed his personality. I mean, there's a few documentaries about him who go through like his own history and stuff. I think there was one called Five something or other. Five. Yeah. I can't remember that one. And it goes through his 5 stages of his like his career and whatever, and what he changed his personality is, you know. Yeah. And I find it incredible that he managed to sort of change and make massive, like, you know, influences in everybody in all these different like eras in his life.
Well, the like, I think Bowie gets his recognition for being a recognised genius, and that word gets banded around. But with Bowie, it's definitely a genius. But I think right behind that is how fucking brave he was with all of those moves. You think when he was with Ziggy and the Spiders, and at the height, literally, and I mean at the height of their fame, when they were literally everybody wants to know what they were doing, they could have gone and played the next 3 decades the same stuff, and no one would have said shit. He goes on stage and goes, this is the last show that Ziggy's going to be playing, the Spiders going to be playing, and then changes. The bravery to do that move.
Just throws it in the bin and just, let's go again.
Unbelievable. To have that much faith in your own ability, to be that sort of brave and fearless. And I remember reading about how a couple of months before on the Glass Spider tour, he'd done all the pre-production for it. And he didn't like it. And he was like, do you know what? We're going to bin it all and we're going to change it and do everything differently. And you think, fuck, it probably cost a fortune. But to be that brave, I don't know if we're creating artists like that anymore now. Because artists now are trying to look for their brand, what works for them, their look or whatever it may be. And they're going to stay with that and ride that all the way through the career. And it's like, no. If you want to be like the longer career people, like Bowie and the Stones and that type of thing, you have to be ready to have a certain amount of reinvention with each sort of generation for them to kind of buy into you. If you really want to be great, if you really want to be great, it's like I was watching about Madonna. Madonna's a very good example. You know, I'm not going to say that Madonna's a genius. I don't necessarily think she is, but she's certainly pretty damn fearless from changing the way she is as she moves through her career. I think pretty fearless, and it's probably gave her longevity. The thing that Bowie had though is he had that longevity, but he also was, like you say, an artist. You know, he truly saw music as an art form.
Definitely. And to be honest with you, does not mean anybody, if anybody there is, I couldn't put my finger on anybody that's come close ever since, to be fair.
No.
I mean, even his final album,
I think they took strands.
That Black Star album's incredible, you know, a incredible piece of work. And he obviously knew he was going to go, because a lot of the lyrics, the music was like involved about him actually just disappearing off the planet.
Yeah. You just think like
the final episode,
kind of,
like, you know.
What a beautiful life and a beautiful career he had. When you look at all of his body of work, that's an enviable body of work. He never. I mean, there was a little bit during the 80s where someone photographed him and it looked like he was doing a Nazi salute, and he wasn't. He was just raising his arm, but whatever, you know. But it never looked stupid. Never said anything stupid. Always high quality for music. Always pretty regular with his music. There was gaps, but there's pretty regular with the music. Always good. I mean, he gave Stevie Ray Vaughan a really big platform. He gave, Adrian Belew and Robert Fripp and stuff like that. He gave them all platforms, because one of the things that probably gets overlooked with Bowie quite a lot is he was a great finder of talent and finding what someone did, like Tony Lewin on bass and stuff. And he used to find these amazing people and find a way to bring his world and bring them in it. And that's a real skill as well. I'm a big fan of people that do that. Zappa used to do that a lot. That's why I'm a big fan of Zappa.
Well, Bowie was also like a multi-instrumentalist. Think about, he could play guitar, piano. He was play saxophone. He probably turned into an awful lot of stuff, that, you know. But multi-instrumentalist, like the likes of Prince, who can also turn that into
Prince. Exactly, the same.
You know, Prince. Sort of like, again, it was a magnificent guitarist. He was one of the best guitarists on the planet.
Very underrated.
I've ever heard in life. Some of his solos are amazing, you know. Another one that's gone too soon, obviously, for a lot of people. You know, it's well for me as well. I love this music, but again, his music was attached to an image, you know, and he created the image. Didn't get to change it too much, because he had what he was happy and he was comfortable with it.
I think Prince was a little different. Prince was more of like, his image was, he's Prince was his image, and you know, and I remember hearing like
a little pattern on his face or something and call him that.
Yeah, it's like when Doug's crying. I remember hearing the guitar playing at the beginning of that and thinking, "What? That's not a metal guy, because that's shredding. He can properly play. He's a hugely talented guitar player." And I do wonder if we are missing these people. We're never going to get another Prince. We're never going to get Bowie. But I wonder who's taken their place musically. You know, the list seems to be not as easy to pick from now. Like, you know.
No. Well, no. I'm gonna mention someone now. I'm not a massive fan of, but what he said in this, it was perfectly good. Was Noel Gallagher, who said recently? He said there are no more stadium rock bands. There are no new bands at all. You might be right. And if you think about it, which were the best, which in the last 10 years or even 15 years, you could say are the new stadium rock bands that are worth saying. They're like stadium.
Well, there's two sorts of things I want to just quickly run off on it. The first one is, apparently, according to Ricky Gervais, one of the last sort of performances that Bowie did was singing that little song he did on the show live, because apparently Ricky Gervais, they play like Madison Square Garden or somewhere, and Bowie's his mate now, and Bowie comes out to introduce him, and he sings that like, stupid little chubby little loser. But that was his last performance. Isn't that crazy? That was like his last performance. The other sort of route I want to go is the reason we're maybe not creating rock stars, and this is a pretty expansive question, but it's because it's too, you can't be risky or push the edges of the envelope enough now in order to be successful. You have to be almost sort of fit into a way before you can become successful, and then it becomes almost impossible to shed those clothes.
Yeah, I think nowadays, I think that you're back to the old, like the music industry's changed, and music being so disposable. You're getting like, it's all a lot of the music industry is all image based as well now. If you don't look good, you're not going to fit. So you can't be an ugly rock star anymore unless you're like
can't
completely
happen
sort of like shit like wide in the mark. So Lemmy wouldn't happen, because he wasn't.
Yeah, it's just crazy when you think about it. Yeah. Because there was no. It's like, God loved them, but I don't think a lot of people would say that members of Pink Floyd were particularly beautiful people, and I think they would say that as well, That's crazy, I think there's definitely, there's probably a new breed of rock star. What that looks like, I don't know. I think comedy is probably doing it at the moment. So someone like Dave Chappelle is that rock star equivalency in comedy, and we will find music kind of often runs a lot quite parallel with comedy sometimes. You'll find that now, like we didn't know Kurt Cobain came before he came along. There will be someone who comes along, because there's always going to be a Lemmy, there's always going to be a Motorhead, that's someone that's kicking back from what you're being forced to listen to, and the produced clean side of it, because life isn't really like that. Life isn't perfect. It isn't clean. It isn't beautiful at times. And people want to see that resonated in the music, and it will return. The last band I saw that had a really good shout at an arena show, believe it or not, was Muse. I watched their arena show and thought that was actually a pretty good example of how to do an arena show. A big, huge 20,000. Yeah, and I thought songs, there was a good clutch of songs there. I thought there was something interesting going on. It was very artistic. I liked it a lot, and that was probably the closest I come to thinking, okay, yeah, and maybe the torch is being handed over to a greater or lesser degree. Here's a question though: Did you ever think about picking up an instrument yourself?
Right. Okay.
Did you? Okay.
Right. Okay. Back in school, I've done like you do the music aptitude test in school, don't you? Where you get like that machine that gives you the two tones. And you go, there's one higher than the other, and you go, it's A, not, and all that business. Well, I happen
you don't anymore, but you used to,
I got 99% on that, right?
Okay.
So I can hear a different tone, I can hear different tones. So anyway, the music teacher dragged me into her office, not in a nasty way. So she sits me down. She says, well, have you thought about playing an instrument? I said, yeah. I said, I'd love to play an instrument. I said, I'd really like to play piano, which I'd love to have done. Okay. She went, fuck you, here's a trumpet. Threw a trumpet in my hand. I had a fucking trumpet. I had a trumpet for about a month, and I blew it about 3 times. Like, you know what? I'm just not into this. It's shit. I can't be doing it. So I threw it right. And ever since then, I haven't touched an instrument since.
Isn't that a crap?
I've got a musical ear, but I just can't.
Clearly, you've got
physically jealous of a lot of people I see, and you can imagine the number of people I see.
Yeah, you see that many
play an instrument, and I was like, and I'm just standing there with my mouth. I'm going, you are so good at this.
What a fucking tragedy that if she just said, "Well, tell you what, we'll set you up with this keyboard here, and away you go," you could have been fucking Rick Wakeman. You could have been. That's one of the problems I think in schools is the arts is so throwaway now. It's so like, well, we've got this kid. He's got a great ear. Well, we've only got a trumpet. That's all we got left. There's not enough money set up for. How many musicians are we fucking stifling and killing? And it's unbelievable. I mean, the arts has it tough enough as it is in school. Let alone you get some fucking music teacher giving you an instrument. You just what the fuck? I remember this. I said the same story to Joe, where one of the first lessons I had, they made us draw people from like the Victorian times and that type of thing, playing instruments, and I was like, this is not music at all. I've got while I was cleaning stuff out as part of the lockdown, I found a book. I'll have to dig it out and put pictures up online, and it's got a musical. Like each sort of thing, like geography and French and music or whatever, it's got like a little statement and a grade and whatever. And on the music one, I think it says, I'll try and paraphrase, I think it says something along the lines of, Mark has absolutely no aptitude towards music. And I was like, I went on tour for fucking several years and it fucking paid for most of the things I have in my house. Like, but it's just interesting how people don't recognise that. But it's obviously you've got the magic ears. For those who are listening, probably the biggest reason we're talking to Ian is for one of better explanation, sound guy, he's the guy that kind of helps a band live and makes that sound and realization of that, and kind of it's sound guys often overlooked as being a vital part of a live music venue. We talked about this with Joe, as ladies and gentlemen will if they listen back will understand. We talked about how the live scene isn't just the artists that play, it's the venue that supports them, it's the people that help that happen, the techs and people like Ian who's the sound guy. So we might be jumping a little bit here, but when did you start to think about doing stuff with sound? Was it when you started to, we were talking about this previously yesterday, about being a DJ and stuff like that. Was it that when you started to kind of lean into that?
Well, that started a roadie with my mates. He was a DJ and did weddings and stuff. So I used to cart speakers and lights and set things up and repair speakers, and that's how I sort of got into like the background of everything now, to learn how to use sound systems and what have you. And he had a really good sound system as well. Carl Roscoe, his name was. So we did shows for a number of years and weekends and that. Whereas to the point where he could sort of back the trailer and I can literally go and set the whole thing up myself and look at the venue and that. Just the management of the whole thing. So after that, I decided to go out on my own, and this was mid to late 80s, I think it was. So then we got into the early 90s, and I got into the rave scene. I was DJing. I DJ'd, and I got picked up by an agent, and I was DJing not much in Liverpool. It was always down south or up north or wherever, all over the place sort of thing. Didn't care, paid an awful lot of money for it. All I did basically was drive my mates around in the back of an old BT van, and I'd get them tickets for the gig, so they'd all get in for nothing. And we'd all just smash around in the back of a van and stuff like that. Memorable days, what we can remember of them.
So when the agency picked you up, were you going out doing shows, or were you based on a radio station, or what was the deal?
No, I was just playing in muddy fields. Muddy fields, the illegal rave in the middle of the very late 80s, early 90s. And, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd be stood in mud playing records. To however number of people I was still stood in. And
that's like going to the gym for a sound guy, isn't it? Doing those type of shows and being on the run, if you will, being guerrilla kind of setups and all that. That's kind of like that's almost your apprenticeship to becoming a sound guy, because you're learning all different power levels and that type of thing, and all the different conditions that go on and all this type of stuff. You learn all these kind of crazy things. It's like going to the gym for a sound guy. And you might have not realised it when you started off, but you were getting that hardened skin, if you will, to travelling, sleeping in vans, it not being perfect, shit sound setups and all that type of stuff. And you build this kind of experience. So when did it, because we were talking about this off pod, when did it sounds as though it got pretty serious when you were going onto the radio and stuff, and you were doing a lot of stuff with that. That's when it sounds really interesting to me.
Right. Well, what happened was, while I was DJing, I was DJing in a bar in St Helens, in Fluid in St Helens, and I can't remember what the street's called now. Anyway, the manager came up to me, knowing what I know, and said to me, I'm thinking about setting up a live venue upstairs. It's an old pool hall. Yeah. So he took me upstairs, and there was pool tables everywhere, and he said, well, you're going to have to clear this lot out, So anyway, he was dead serious about it. What he did was he cleared everything out, put a proper wooden floor in, put a stage in, the whole thing. And he said to me, can you put a sound system in for us, and this, that, and the other, so that we can put bands in? So put a sound system in, put the stage box in, the desk.
So, sorry, I will stop you every so often here, because there will be some people who are listening who some of these terms, they may think they know what they are, but they don't know what they are. So what is a stage box for the uninitiated?
Right. A stage box is basically it's a big fat cable, but it's about a thick, it looks like a hose pipe, but there's loads of little cables in it. Right. So on the stage you'll have like a black box, and it'll have loads of sockets, 16, whatever number of sockets we've got. Yeah. Are you still there?
Still here. Keep going. It's all good, mate. I got you. Yeah, it's all good.
so what I said, then that cable gets run over the top of the over the ceiling or on hooks or whatever, right back to the desk at the back of the room. And then all the holes on the stage will have numbers on it, 1 to 16, and I'll have plugs on the other end numbered 1 to 16, and they plug into your desk 1 to 16 on the channels or whatever. So then you can operate basically sort of like from the stage, from the back of the room. That's what a stage box does.
It's essentially like if you go to a show and there's no one there, and there's normally like these like big, large, thick cables, normally in the middle of the room for the most part, they're sometimes covered with metal things so people can walk over them. That's the umbilical cord between the stage box and the stage, and basically that's how you talk between the two. But yeah, so he'd ask you to set that up, and he'd got all the floor, and it sounds like he put a lot of time and effort into the venue.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it sort of took me like, you know, a couple of weeks, you know, here and there to set the venue up. So I said to him, we're all up and running, we're getting everything's all fixed up and stuff. And he said, okay. He said, what, do you know any bands or stuff? I said, well, no. So I'm a DJ, I don't know bands.
Yeah.
Said, no, I know nothing about bands.
Yeah.
So he got this other guy in. What was his name? I'll think of his name in a minute. Anyway, he was a promoter, and he managed to book a few bands and what have you. And then the manager said, what I'll do is, I'll put a DJ on downstairs and you can work upstairs. I said, well, I know nothing about mixing a band, because it's not DJing. It's not DJing. And people need to understand that it is a completely different kettle of fish.
It's a different discipline entirely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you're just playing music and fiddling with knobs, as I tell people. No, you don't fiddle with knobs. There's a lot more to it, obviously. So, like, you know, you'll have your microphones plugged into number 1, 2, 3, and 4, or whatever. So you've got the sliders on your desk with 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they operate your microphones, and you mess around with EQs and all that sort of thing. So you don't start whistling and you can hear them and stuff. So you got all this going on at the same time as the drum. All the drums are plugged into your desk and everything, and you're basically mixing live so it all sounds as well as it can do. You know. So early doors, you know, fought your way through, a few whistles here and there.
Well, because like at this stage as well, people that maybe like are kind of new to sound, and certainly we have a lot of people who listen who are sound guys and producers who are maybe fully aware of this. But there's an alchemy to getting a great mix, and there's so many fucking variables. It's unbelievable. So here's the thing for you, ladies and gentlemen: you can have a venue, and the sheer geography of the venue affects the sound. Sounds obvious, right? Of course. Low ceilings, high ceilings, carpeted sides, curtain sides. All these things play a part of the sound. And that fluctuates. This before we get into anything else, that fluctuates with all the people that are in there. More people, less people, absorbs the sound. That fucks with it. This is before anybody's even struck a note, and before anything with the terms of the equipment and mics and things that you're using. It becomes this massive game of chaos that you've got to kind of shackle to kind of pull to a mix. It's incredibly difficult, and people always like, you know, you always think, I'm sure you get this a lot, but sound guys are always there's always someone who can do it better. There's always someone going, oh yeah, the drums sound this, or the guitar doesn't sound this.
God, I'm always told.
No idea of how much and how many, the slightest churn of a slightest knob can fuck up everything else, and it becomes a massive balancing act. That must have been that sounds like the deep end, that when he's like, okay, you're a DJ, now you're a sound guy, thinking it's the same thing, and it ain't. And do you remember your first show?
God.
Do you remember your first show where you had to do it?
Yeah, it was four punk bands.
Okay.
They sort of, what happened was the week before that first show, I had a mate who worked at Park Studios in town, Park Street. And I rang him and said, help, I need help. What am I doing with this shit? What the fuck am I going to do? Panic. And so he said to me, right, okay. He got one of his mates' bands. He got them to come up to the venue a couple of evenings in that week. Instead of them practicing in their room, they come up to our place in St. Helens, set their stuff up. And so he took me through it. You know, he done a couple of gigs with this band and took me through what, you know, and then everything after that is and learning curves and
well, what you did then with the band.
Self-taught. I mean, it's all self-taught. There's people go to college and and university. And sometimes people come into me saying, well, I'm doing this at university and the sound and this, that. And you think back, you go, I would have loved to have done that in school or gone to university to do that. But, I fell into it. And a lot of it is all about like sort of, you can only teach so much in a classroom. You get to a live venue, and like you said, there's so many variables when you come to like sound checking in an empty room is ridiculous. It's pointless because then the room fills with people, and just like this massive sponge turns up. So you've literally got to alter everything anyway by the time.
What you were doing with that band previously, now that's called pre-production. What you were talking about now, a big band goes on tour, ladies and gentlemen. They will take a venue and they will hire a venue out for maybe a week or so, where they'll go through the show. Essentially, they'll go through it and kind of check all the screws are tight, if you will, and check everything's done. The real skill. And that's why house engineers and touring engineers are a real discipline, because as a house engineer, you think, well, it's in your house, if you will, now, so you should know what you're doing. Yes, but it's a different band each time with different sort of colours to play with. And then as a touring sound guy, that's a different thing, because it's the same band, but it's different venues, so it's a different discipline. But what you maybe were picking up, though, even though you say, oh, I'd like to have gone to college and studied this and studied that, I would argue that potentially it was better the route you took, as kind of, you've almost learned the hard way. And it's sometimes better to learn the hard way. You know what I mean? It's sometimes better to do it because you learn pretty damn fucking quick. If the entire crowd looks at you when the sound goes down, do you know what I mean? So what were those first lessons you learned as a sound guy and then work with bands? What were you learning?
I don't think I ever had a sound system go down on me. I think I had a speaker go down on me once. But because of my old DJ days, I knew what to do, and it's just called a reroute. So what you do is you basically plug your top speaker into the other top speaker. So at least you're getting sound out of everything. So you're still getting that. But that again, that's just experience, I suppose. I'm not sure they'll actually teach you that. Obviously, you've got to like sort of, when you do that, you've got to watch like, your impedances, and you've got to back things off a little bit and whatever, But again, you learn these things. I tend to, when I do sound, I mean, when I got the job of sound in St Helens and stuff, it lasted about maybe, how long was I in St Helens for after that? About maybe 18 months or something like that, and then the venue closed. But it's actually the upstairs venue keeping the downstairs open. It was that busy upstairs that in the end the manager could like sort of decided, I can't be doing with this, and shut the place. So I was at a loose end then. So I then sort of come into town. I ended up going mobile for a little while. So everything I had, I was carrying around in the back of a car. I remember I had a Fiesta.
To some of our American listeners and some of us from other countries, the Fiesta is not a large vehicle.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination.
No, not at all. So, no, there was the odd time when I had to do a couple of trips, with the equipment.
So you go around, you're kind of mobile, and you're doing this type of stuff. Like, when did it move to the radio type of thing we were talking about?
Oh, okay, right, okay. The radio thing come before doing the live sound. It was sort of it was a Friday evening. A mate of mine, again, the guy who was doing the DJing with earlier, Carl was involved with the radio station I was on, KCR in the Highton. And he was involved, and I said to him, look, the only thing you're missing here is like an old school dance music show, which is what I used to do years ago in Muddy Fields. There was one or two things, but they were, maybe a little bit more commercial, or so, I don't know. Anyway, I said to him, I managed to convince them to allow me to do a Friday evening from sort of like, I think it was about 7 till 9 or something like that. Anyway, we started doing really pretty well, listening wise and whatever. You started doing okay, because once people got onto it, so then anyway, it went from 7 till 10, and then we sort of started involving Liverpool's current underground scene and whatever. We'd have DJs in from all over sort of Liverpool and the northwest sort of thing, coming in, playing live in the studio, doing sets live. That they were walking in, and they were bags of nerves. A lot of them, they would, like, because they were playing live and they didn't want to fuck things up, you know. So there was no pre-recording. This was it, and then you got no comebacks or whatever. They were good shows. Then I think I told you one about the drum and bass lot.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Spoken Metal Show, where we're going to talk about drum and bass for a bit now. So, but the sort of, you were telling me about how they like several DJs all showed up, and you have to kind of marshal them around the room and stuff. It's
crazy night that was. It was a guy from a record label in Liverpool called Raw Recordings, and at the time I didn't know, but drum and bass didn't get any airplay at all. It really didn't. So I invited, I can't remember the guy's name. I'll in later point, it's not important. But anyway, basically, these guys from Raw Recordings turned up. I think there was 3 DJs and 5 MCs, and they were sort of taking turns on the microphone, playing this crazy like drum and bass music. And well, you can imagine at like 7 o'clock on a Friday evening, and they were swearing. The language was incredible on air. You know, it really was. It was crazy. It was effing this, and you know, you can imagine everybody going to town with the language and stuff. You know. Yeah. Anyway, I got dragged into the carpet, and on the carpet during the week after, he said, "It's not really satisfactory to have that much language on air. We've had 1 or 2 complaints." I said, "Well, how many's 1 or 2?" He said, "Well, 2." I said, "Really?" He said, "I can't really tell you off either because it's probably our most successful show while we've been on air." I didn't realise that it was such a good listening audience that night. Like, but that was memorable because it was like chaos.
Yeah, but that's some of the best things are. Some of the best things are.
I wasn't there. When you sort of lose control a little bit and you think to yourself, God, these guys have took over. Because I literally just flung the doors open and said, well, yeah, come and take over sort of thing. And I sat there in the desk making sure like all the sound was all like again playing with sound before it started, making sure like it wasn't going out too hot and that. But that was madness. That was funny.
It seemed, I mean, listen, we're coming up to nearly the hour mark, and we haven't even got into what we want to talk about. But,
oh dear.
So I don't want to move too quickly because there's so many stories, there's so much we need to go through. But one of our sort of mutual, the way we met was that Ian is essentially the resident engineer, sound guy at the Outpost. Now, ladies and gentlemen who listen to the show, we've talked to the Outpost previously on 2 shows, 2 of the most listened to shows. I hasten to add as well. It's for those that don't know, it's a fabulous venue, independent venue in Liverpool that specialises in a wealth of music, punk and metal and all kinds of things. And Ian is the house engineer there. So how did that happen? How did you kind of meeting up with the Outpost? How did that begin?
Well, I was sort of, again, I was mobile at the time. I was doing gigs mobile at it was at the time it was Maguire's. I get a call from 1 or 2 different promoters, the likes of Rob Scott and Joe Mortimer and a few others, who'd say, well, we don't want like sort of Maguire's sound system. We want yours, and we want you to come and do the show and stuff. So what I'd have to do is have to turn up, take their house system down, put it in the corner, and then put mine in before the show started. And then at the end of the night, I'd box all mine off or pick it up the next day, but I had to put their sound system back on again. But yeah, it's I sort of done the rounds between the Pilgrim and there was Rendezvous and St Helens, where I actually met. Now you're talking about being a metal show, and I know I'm diverging and going off a bit of a tangent here. It was the first time I met Matt Pike, who's the guitarist with Deified, as you probably know. He was a drum and bass DJ. I'm not sure he's going to admit to it, but he was. Right. And he'd done these shows called Dubscure. And we sort of, I used to DJ with him on these lineups and stuff. And it wasn't long after he sort of threw it to one side and took up guitar and obviously ended up where he is now. Nice guy, Defied, no arguments with them at all. Like really, really nice guys. Anyway, back to the story. After a while, doing all these shows and stuff, I was doing more regular work in Maguire's than most others. And I just went to Helen and said, look, what do you feel about me coming in, fitting my stuff in permanent.
Yeah.
Saved me doing
Yeah.
all the lifting and that, being house and like basically coming to a deal. With her, obviously lowered my price because, you know, I don't have to do as much work. I literally come in, turn it on, turn all the amps on, and it's done. It's great on my back and on my car springs, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's how that evolved. So because I ended up working in Maguire's before it turned into Outpost. At this point, I'd like to acknowledge Helen and Matt for the way they've stuck their neck out for Liverpool's underground scene and the DIY scene and everything like that. They run their business on the back of doing gigs in that venue, and I've got to say, although Helen isn't there anymore, she kicked it all off. It was all her decisions who allowed all this to happen. And now Matt's doing the same thing. I know we're shut at the moment, but we will be back, you know. And, and
well, Helen's been on the show. What a fabulous sort of person to just to defender of the independent, defender of the music scene, and then Matt carries the whole thing on. You know, people were a little maybe questioning what was going to happen when Maguire's kind of closed up, or you know, for a little period of time. That's why I got on the show, because just to tell people that it was going to open again, and then it did at the Outpost, and many would say it's gone from strength to strength. It's doing even better, and I think we're both looking forward to going to our first show again when it opens, which it will do. And so you were kind of the sound guy there, and it's what's the cap there? And it's like what, 70 people or so. What's the cap for the venue? It's not very big. It's very small.
It's round about the 90-ish. I think.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah. So it's quite a small venue, but one of the things that's fantastic about it is it's very much a raw space. It's very much the various types of bands play. There's no barrier. There's no enough space, and you were there with the band and very much kind of in the whole thing. The guys all load their gear, and behind you is where they put all the gear. You know, it's right. Very intimate. Intimate. That's the word I want to say. It's very intimate in all the great ways. So, do you when you're playing there and stuff, did you find yourself leaning towards metal music? Did you find you had an ear for that, or was it just everything that was on, punk and everything?
I've never sort of like stuck myself to one genre ever, really. Still now, to be honest with you, and not even one artist, to be fair. Like, you know, it's not just like punk and metal and what have you. There's a lot of electronic stuff I still like as well. Joe's like that. I mean, Joe Mortimer, he's heavily into his really heavy metal, and the proper harder end. But even now, he's got a large, wide selection.
We talked about that, we were like saying that, you know, just because you're a metalhead or you're into metal doesn't mean you can't step out on off the path and listen to other things. In fact, it sometimes makes the thing you listen to better, and certainly makes you playing better if you take bits from other music. It certainly helps. So we should get some things sorted here, because I'm always very positive on this show, but I always like to inform as well. So I'll do a show tomorrow on Friday. We'll do a live show, and I'm sure there'll be some feedback off this one if we can get this up in time. But one of the things I always talk about, if someone's like a tech or a guitar tech and stuff, is things they should know before they get into the business that they maybe should have known. But with you being a sound guy, we've got a perfect opportunity to pick your brain. If I'm a young band, so I'm just starting out, handful of gigs, just starting out, and what should I be telling my sound guy when I get to a venue if I've never met the sound guy before? What are the conversations that I really should be having?
Well, right. Just so I preempted this, by the way, I did this today.
For those that can't see this, there's a large A4 piece of paper.
It's headed tip to bands and promoters, because promoters can be at fault for a lot of the problems.
Almost as much as
a bad gig as much as the bands do. And you know what? It's the finer detail. It's nothing down to X, Y, or Z, or even just down to gear. It's the smaller detail that's into it. Like,
let's go on the list. Then I love it. Let's start at the top.
Where do you want to start, bands or promoters?
At the top, start with number one with a bullet. What's the first thing?
Right, for bands, be early as possible. Okay,
yeah, fucking
get there as early as you can. I mean, you know, don't be pretending to. Right, right? Be prepared for just line checks. You won't always get a sound check. Okay?
So if I'm a band and I'm told that I'm going to be on stage at, say, 8 o'clock, what time should I be at the show?
Well,
if I'm going to be on stage at 8?
Right, okay. Well, you should be at the show, sort of. Sound checks at our venue. We can't make any noise till 6 o'clock because we've got neighbours and what have you. So we can't make any noise till 6 o'clock. Generally with a 4-band lineup, and the first band is usually generally on about 8 o'clock. So the first band's on at 8. So if there's a chance of you getting a sound check, right, then you should be there at 6 o'clock. You know, you should, unless there's obviously the circumstance where people work and all that business. You understand, but as long as you're there in decent time, and if you are going to be late, then what you need to do is check that all the equipment you need is either going to be there or provided, or you bring it with you. You know, what is it? What's the old one? Fail to prepare is prepare to fail. Is it? Like
that's exactly it.
Hate old sayings, but they all work.
But some of them rings true. I mean, it's like so one of the struggles that Ian's talking about there is that people think that well, why don't they just sound check the bands in the middle of the day and then everything's sorted for the show? Because of fucking things like this, of like, you've got to understand that this place that you play a show at is in the middle of a built-up area with residents and people, and there's a ton of fucking rules. Aside from fucking sound enforcement, there's a ton of rules that mean there's only a narrow window. Trust me, when you go on tour and you go to playing in France and stuff like that, there'll be sound curfews at the front and the back end of your show that you have to get a very, very narrow window in to do your shit. That's why bands only get line checks. So you can't be fucking whinging if you're first on and you only get a line check, because it's not, no one's taking it personally. It's because there's only a narrow window to get this shit done. And the more you piss and moan and fuck around in that window, the smaller that window gets. And then no one can have the sound check because we'll get to sound checks in a little bit, because I'm just as pissed off with sound checks as you may be. But let's go through the list. Let me get some light in here so I can band properly. Let's get some light. You get a bit of light in here. There we go. That's it. There you go.
I can't actually see you. But never mind. Doesn't matter.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Right. One of my bugbears is leave your ego at the door. I think we talked about this. You talked to Joe about this, and I was nodding my head fucking frantically when you said it. When you get there, you're an artist. When you go on stage and you do your set, then your art starts when you go on stage. Before that and after that, we're all normal human people, and we've all got feelings and we've all got things to do. So if you're being an awkward dickhead who thinks they can just walk around the stage, swan around and be like fucking Bon Jovi or whoever, you know, who thinks the fucking idea is way above the station, people aren't going to like you, and neither am I. You know, and I'm the worst person you want not on your side, to be fair. Yeah. Because I'm just gonna seriously I'm not gonna not help you out of choice. It's just the fact that, you know,
you're gonna go out your way.
I find it hard to help these people, you know. So
do you know what is interesting about ego? Well, we went into this with Joe about this. A lot of the time, some of the best bands I've worked with, or the easiest bands to work with, have also been the most famous and the person you would go, well, surely if they wanted to use the ego card, they could. They never do. They're all because they've learned the lesson. They've learned the lesson of, if you are a dickhead, you're going to be working with someone who doesn't give a fuck about your status, and your life's going to be in their hands. So you best just don't be a dickhead, be a nice guy, and it does pay dividends. I was always told when I first started, I was in a band billions of years ago, and one of the first pieces of nice advice I've got is go up to the sound guy, introduce yourself, ask him if he wants a beer or what he wants to drink. Just buy him a beer. Just at least be nice. Just, do you know what I mean? It's fucking right. You know what I mean? Just buy. What's that cost? You know, just so you can have that conversation. Yeah, completely agree.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, be nice. You know, be a nice person. You know, and if you're nice to everybody, everyone's going to be nice to you, and you're going to be remembered for being nice, not just for your music, but for being a nice person generally. You know, be helpful. You know. Anyway, the other things I've written down here.
Okay.
While you're there, watch all the other bands. Right.
Fucking this amen.
You must,
Okay,
out of choice. If you're a young band, you might watch a band and pick things up off what other bands are doing. You know, might go, oh, I fancy doing that, or this, that, and the other. They may do something might sort of like make you better. But apart from that, it's just etiquette. You know, how would you like to play? And everybody else is in the bar. You know, it's bollocks.
Where do you stand, Ian? On I put forward on a couple of shows that I suggested not putting up a band's stage times at all.
Chaos.
At all. Because, no, well, I mean, sorry, I should maybe explain that a bit better. Put it up for the bands so they can see. But when you advertise the show, so say I'm doing a show next weekend with 4 bands on. Instead of putting what time those bands are on, one's are on at 8, one's are on at 8:45, whatever the fuck. But not doing that and just going, there's 4 bands on, there you go. Because then otherwise people are going to go, well, I'll turn up for the last band, or I'll come and see the first band and then fuck off, or I don't have to get there till 8:30. I don't know, where do you stand on that?
Right, where do I stand on that? In a fantastically real, logical world, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
But in reality, the likelihood is it's never going to happen because, as we've just mentioned, people don't leave their egos at the door. They just don't.
They include
and
the
you're
audience.
You're going to need one person in one of the bands to kick off and one of the other bands to hear him kicking off. And there's just, there's not murder, but there's enough banter going on to say, well, why should we do that if they're not doing that? And they end up being like a bunch of kids. And it's just ridiculous, you know. It all gets a bit ridiculous, you know. So in a real world, I agree with you. In reality, the likelihood is it probably won't. But then we've talked about band lineups and which order things should be played, sort of real world anyway. And even that's a bit contentious sometimes. I think it's just a play by ear type of thing. I think.
Yeah, we talked about on the live show where Ollie was bringing it up about how sometimes the best slot isn't the headlining slots because of people going home and going on a train and fucking off and stuff. Sometimes it's the better is the slot before. And I explained that I think that sometimes, like they did this on the Warped Tour, I think, where they would select the bands at random and you all played the same amount of time. And it was random when you won out, drawn out of a hat. Well, you're third on, off you fucking go. And it just meant that people had to go and find the stuff. So, yeah, I think the answer's in there somewhere. But, yeah, no, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Right. Talk to other bands at venues. Right. This is another thing as well. What you find is when you get to venues, and this happens, I'm not joking you, every single week, you'll get one band sat over on the right, one band sat over the right with their mates, and they all sit in little zones instead of all talking to each other and learning stuff, and even doing this thing called gig swapping, right, where if say you get one band from, like, I don't know, wherever, it's Manchester or whatever like that, and they end up running their own gig, and you could go and play on their gig. In return, they'll come to play your gig when you run one in Liverpool, sort of thing. So you end up filling up your gig schedules by just talking to each other. I mean, it's dead easy. And it's
I can tell. I can go backstage.
Ridiculous.
I've done it a billion times. I did it at Metal to the Masters quite a lot. And I'll tell you, before hearing a fucking note, I'll tell you the band that's going to do well within the industry. I can tell. Because I can watch them, or one or two members of the band networking. I watch them do it, going over, hey, how are you? Which band are you? Are you from Scotland? Oh, okay. We've never played Scotland. Oh, you should come up and play. And I've watched it happen organically, and I've watched the reverse happen where there's a bit of band sitting in the corner who go, well, fucking, we don't want to give away any secrets. I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. Or we don't want to talk to another band. It's like, are you fucking crazy? We're all in the same war. We all want a good show. Everybody... You never know. You might meet someone and it helps you. Why would you? I was always told by a friend of mine that networking is better than not working. And it's the truest
point. I like that one.
It's the truest thing in the world. And I'll tell you now, I don't want to mention it. I don't want to embarrass any bands, but I went to see a band and it was at the Outpost. And I watched them do an absolutely splendid job of networking and working that room with the other bands and talk to them and getting what must have been a host of connections from it. And then I saw another band at the same show who once they did the sound check, fucked off out, came in for their show, and then went after their thing. I watched two separate bands do totally separate ways of doing it. And right now, I went back about a month later, and I had a look at how many followers and stuff they all had. And one band's career is proper moving now, and the other one, I don't even think they're even a band anymore. And I'm telling you now, I can see that, and I see it happen all the time backstage. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
What else have we written here? Okay, right. Here's a big one for you. Shock to the fans. Be prepared to lose money for a long time.
Fucking right. Yep.
And you've got to take this on the chin, right? Before you're any sort of reasonable success where you can start sort of not just like earning any money at all or earning a wage from it, stuff like that. You're going to lose money hand over fist trying to prove who you are to people you've never met. And this is the big thing about it all, you know. And you've got to constantly, it goes hand in hand with talking to bands and talking to people and always having something to sell. You know, you get some bands turn up and they say, well, where are you putting your merch and stuff? And well, they haven't got any, you know. The outlay is worth it because you're going to make a bit of money on your merch and stuff, but you know, it's the lifeblood. It's like an investment in a sort of weird way. The best way
to explain that sort of merch sort of strand of that is that if you can imagine you open a supermarket and the only thing you sell in that supermarket is peas, frozen peas. That's all you sell. So you've done all this stuff in this supermarket. It's fucking brilliant. It looks amazing. And people come in and go, I'm having some of those frozen peas. And you sell them all the frozen peas. And they go, right, well, I want something else now. And you go, well, we only do frozen peas. People coming to your show, they want more than that. They go, okay, I really love your band. What else? Okay, we'll buy our CD. You fucking should have a CD. Well, oh, do you do T-shirts? I've been asked for all kinds of things like lapel badges and pin badges and all kinds of things. The bands that succeed, certainly as well, and I'll sidebar to this in a second as well, but the bands that succeed understand that merch part is critical to deciding if a gig has been successful or a failure financially. And the sidebar I'll just make to it is that a lot of times a record label or certainly promoters and agents and that type of thing will look at how much investment a band has done into that as a requisite of how successful they're going to be if they book them or they sign them, because they're like, well, hold on, they already understand the game of merch and the game of that type of thing. It's part of being financially stable as an artist.
Definitely. Right, it goes on, and the other bugbear for me, and obviously I've worked in different venues all over the place, and one of the bugbears for me is bands that don't promote themselves, their own gigs. They don't promote their own gigs. They expect the venue and the promoter to do all the work and expect to just turn up and there's going to be an audience there. It doesn't happen. It's
the underlying thing to this. Sorry.
It's like me getting Outpost, booking Fatboy Slim, spending £20,000 on him doing a DJ set and not telling anyone about it.
Yeah.
It's it's ridiculous. It doesn't add up. Yeah. So bands need to promote their gigs to death.
And I would say that the underlying thing with the promotion thing as well is simply saying you're going to a show is not, as a band, is not promoting that fucking show. You absolute fucking chode. You've got to understand that you need to be suggesting this to people. Isn't it? It fucking drives me mental. It must drive you fucking crazy. It's like, you've got to be... You can't just expect people to search you out. It doesn't fucking work like that. No. You have to. Back in the day, we talked about the 80s and 90s and that type of thing. People had to pay people or fucking do it themselves to fly post everywhere. Now, the internet is that fly posting. You can't just say click going on a Facebook thing and you've somehow promoted your event. You fucking idiot. There's millions of platforms you can promote this on. You have to shout it from every fucking internet rooftop that you can find. You need to be doing it regularly and often. Otherwise, what the fuck? You're not this huge band that people are going to flock to. You have to fucking constantly be knocking on people's doors, internet-wise. And sometimes people may go, oh, well, you're just spamming people with that. There's a difference. People have to be aware of something first. You're spamming them if you send them 2 or 3 messages a week. But if once a week you're talking about it, that's probably the absolute minimal. But self-promotion, oh my God, the amount of people expect the promoter to do that is unbelievable. Yes, all right, let's put it on Front Street. Yes, the promoter should promote the event. That's part of his name. Of course they should. Of course they should create posters and viral campaigns and all the rest of it, and we get that. But it's meant to be a collaborative fucking effort. The venue's meant to help them do that. The promoter's meant to help the venue. The venue meant to help the promoter. The promoter's meant to help the artist, and the artist is meant to help the promoter. All three of them together is this powerful force. When it works, it's fucking really powerful. If one person just does it, it's like fucking... It's the musical equivalent of pissing in the wind. It just doesn't work. It drives me crazy. What pisses me off more, and it pissed me off when you said it as well on the live thing, you told me a band that I hadn't heard of that was based in my fucking hometown. And I was like, these are fucking amazing. And I've never heard of them. And I was fucking furious with myself because I was like... So, but people are like, I want to help my local scene and I want to do that. Start fucking finding bands, putting the feelers out, start following these bands and asking to be put on mailing lists so you can be told about these fucking shows. It's all communication. I could not agree with you more, which is going to be a running theme through all these things on your list.
What's swearing at people? That's great. Yeah,
I'm going to swear to fucking everybody. I'm pissed off. You've got me pissed already. I want to make this a fucking T-shirt and then sell it. That's what I want to make. It's true as they are.
I love your passion, mate. It's brilliant.
I'm so pissed off it, like it, because it's all true. Right, and the fact that we have to talk about it's laughable, but it's true.
Oh, are you?
Okay, what else have we got?
What was I going to say? Right, I think, and the final point I made, right, and a lot of bands are going to sort of disagree and think, well, it doesn't happen to us. Stick together. You're getting bands right who are lasting, going together. They're together for 3 or 4 months, don't get any success and think, oh, I'm not having any done with this. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go somewhere else or this, that, and the other. Stick with it. Some of the most famous bands that you've ever heard were doing the same music and same sets for years before they broke any sort of ground at all. In the background, they're writing new stuff, and they sort of introduce the new stuff gradually, which is what the best way of doing it. But initially, when you're a new band, you have your set, you practice your set, and be prepared to play that set over and over again. And yeah, it's going to get boring, it's going to get this, that, and the other. But it's about it's not staying in your local scene. You've got to get out and about. You've only got so many friends between you. Say for instance, you've got a 4-piece band, and say they've got four friends each or whatever, just for accident. Yeah. And then you've got your aunties and uncles. All in all, you're going to have 25 people all in. You've got to have more than 25 people in your following. It's got to happen. So you've got to find ways and means of doing that. And gigging is the most important thing you can do. Is just gig and gig and gig more and play the same set at all these venues and stuff until you're sick in the back teeth, and just keep writing it and introducing it sort of gradually.
It's interesting that you bring up staying power as a sound guy, and that resiliency, and it's like I couldn't agree more. And we're going to get into that a little bit, but it's like it's like Iggy Pop. He doesn't like playing Lust for Life, ladies and gentlemen. He's sick to fucking death of it. I don't know. I've never met him. I've no idea. I've no inside knowledge, but I'm telling you now, he probably fucking is sick to death of that song. But he's learned that, through playing his sets regularly and honing his craft, he's learned to do that perfectly. He's learned to get it right. And Ian's talking about, if you don't suddenly become the biggest thing in the world after a year, it doesn't mean you're shit. We've been force-fed that it does mean this shit. There's a lot of these, in inverted commas, overnight sensations. And the reality is, they've been working on it for years beforehand. Before it came to yeah, it's not. It's been done. It's just been not done in the public's eye, in the public's glare, if you will. It's never. It's not been done like that. It's interesting that a sound guy brings up resiliency. I think that's fantastic. I couldn't agree more. More.
Right. Should we get off bands and start having a go at the promotion?
Ladies and gentlemen, an hour and a half. So welcome to the show. Now we get started. Now we can really fucking sort some stuff out. Okay, let's go. Okay, so this is menus.
No, promoters.
Promoters, sorry.
Yeah. Now, okay. I've worked with some amazing promoters. I've worked with promoters who are very thorough, and they're very good people. Like Joe, we've mentioned it once or twice already. Joe does his shows, and everything is organised. There's no problems. I don't think so. But unheard of ones which you just cope with, And I've worked with other promoters who they're okay, but they're nice people, so you don't mind helping them out. Over a period of time, I've managed to acquire all my backline drum kit and stands and cymbals and all that sort. Well, not cymbals, but you know.
Yeah.
So if anything breaks or anything like that, I can literally say what they are and just pass them in.
Yeah, we make it. Yeah.
Sort of thing. This is what you do. Generally, most sound guy and venues don't tend to have that sort of thing. I don't know. I don't really follow what other sound guys
not as much as
do,
not as much as you think. Yeah.
No. Okay. So my tips for promoters.
Another T-shirt.
Right.
It's another T-shirt.
What?
It's another
I wish I was special. I wish I was special.
And then
Okay.
we put these rules on the back of that. That's how we do it.
Right, okay. Right, okay. Make sure you've got it clear with all your bands about backline and equipment. So, right. I've had the odd time with promoters. I've like got 4 bands in a venue, and they've either told the band saying, well, someone needs to bring this, someone needs to bring it. I've not confirmed anything.
Yeah.
And no one brings anything.
Let me just get to
the drummer turns up with drumsticks and cymbals. You know.
Switch these lights on here. Let me just. There we go. That's it. Here we go. Should be good to go. Because we're burning the midnight oil, sorting this all out now. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff.
So
I love it.
Out.
Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy that we live in a time now where, and this may seem like a mad concept to a band out there, but if there's 4 bands on, yeah, just so you know, so this is all amazing to everybody out there, you have to have instruments to fucking play.
Wow.
You have to have amplification for it to go through. You have to have all these things, and these have to be organised. It's like, imagine you going on a picnic and everybody has to bring the right things, otherwise you don't have a picnic. If you're going on a picnic and no one's bringing sandwiches, you're not on a picnic. Yeah, it's as simple as that. When you go in to do a show, you have to make sure everybody's brought everything. Now, the promoter, for the most part, should be the connecting tissue between that. But there's nothing wrong with you sorting your own fucking shit out. And then there's a question at the back there. Someone's got their hand up notoriously. You'll be like, well, okay, so every band has to bring all their gear and all their backline. No, they don't. That's what the whole point is. Like,
that's the
who's
working
together?
Right?
Yeah.
That's the other end of the scale. Sometimes we get some of this, some of the metalcore stuff, and every single band will bring all their own equipment. So the drummer will want to use his own kit. The guitarists will want to use their own cabs. And you've seen the space I've got behind me to store stuff. And it's just mental.
It becomes a semantical nightmare, doesn't it? It's a nightmare.
Gear everywhere. It's down the walls and everything. And you're taking 20 people off the venue because you've got speakers all over the place.
I'm glad you bring that up, though. There's a point to be made there. So point 1, if you want all your own shit and you want your backline and fucking whatever you've got, pop-up banners and all that shit, that's sound. But know some things. No, like Ian says, that's going to cut the amount of people in most venues by 10, 20 people who can fit in there. That's going to cut that out. Know this. Know that for most part, it's going to make most stages very cramped. And as much as people like to see a nice backdrop, they like to see the bassist go fucking crazy too. Also know that the setup time between that getting set up and taken down may come out of your stage time. If it's going to take you 20 minutes to set up your shit, no one's going to wait 20 minutes with nothing going on. The changeover needs to be 5, 10, at best 15 minutes changeover. If you have to set up fucking dragons that spit fire for fucking half an hour, that's going to come out of your stage time.
I've written
it's
down.
Fucking true, though. It's true, and it drives me fucking mental.
I was going to put some actual physically sort of like equipment stuff and that in a section, little tips section I've written down as well. I was thought of my madness in it. Anyway, let's get off this and stop swearing for a minute.
Okay. I'll promise anything.
Right, okay. Back to promoters, right? Okay, sometimes promoters don't read the contracts that they've got with the venue. They don't read it. So when it comes to the end of venue and all the money's starting to like get split up or whatever like that, they don't realise that they've either got to pay the venue or they haven't done enough over the bar so they don't get the deposit back and all this, that and the other. And it becomes a shock. What they need to do is check, read the contract and be prepared to lose on the door because they're viable. They're viable for paying out the bills. Paying the bills.
Yeah.
And the venue and the costs and what have you need to come out first before they've got any arrangement with bands and stuff like that. Afterwards, you sort them out. As much as it hurts me to say, if you've got like a poor turnout for one reason or another, generally, usually the bands that lose out, especially if you've got a headliner coming from like Scotland or somewhere, and they spent 80, 100 quid just in petrol, and you've got your promoters got to be prepared to make sure that the band at least gets there and back, without having
some of the people listening to the show who want to become promoters may not even realise that you are contractually obliged when if you're a promoter, you go to a show. There's a contract there because what Ian's talking about is risk. So ideally, when you're running a show, everybody concerned needs to reduce the risk of everything. And first and foremost, it's the person that owns the venue, owns the actual building that's there, has to keep the lights on. So every show has to have an element of risk to it that's reduced, and that's what a contract enables. And here's the surprise that Ian's kind of spoiled for us, is the fucking, no one's making money on the door. No one's making money on a door. They're making the money on the bar. Like we've talked about before, bands making money through doing merch and selling merch. No one's making that much money on the door because you want to get people in. Once you're in, that's when they start making you money, and you can do it with bar incentives and that type of thing, and you do it through merch and all the rest of it, and you do it that way. So you have to protect that, because there's only going to be a baseline that the venue's going to pick up. If it's a poor show, like you say, I mean, a string of poor shows can close a venue. That's how cutthroat it is and how difficult it is. A string of poor, badly run shows can close a venue. So there's no point in getting fucking whiny about having to have a contract and sticking to it. And like Ian says, understanding what that contract means. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing to protect everybody involved.
Definitely. Right. You go is another one for promoters now, and this is something that sort of like you've noticed over a period of time and whatever, Nowadays, you go and see a major band, say Metallica, in a massive venue, this, that, and the other, right? Yeah. You're looking at 100 quid now to go and see one band in a massive venue. It's ridiculous. But then, the music industry has changed that much now, where you spend the only way a band will make money now is on touring and merchandise, and it makes music to promote the tour and the merchandise. Years ago, it was the other way round, but nowadays it's that way round, and that's why ticket prices are so much more expensive, which is why when we do sort of gigs over the last, even say for the last 5 years, the standard sort of gig entry in our posts is around about a £5. Right, okay. Yeah. So it's a £5, and you get to see 4 or 5 bands for a £5. Right. Yeah. So think about, I know it's tough on people at the moment, and tough on the punters to think, well, you've got to pay a £5 to come to a gig. What's the point when you got to think to yourself, well, charge them 7 or 8 quid instead? Them extra 3 or 4 quid are going to make all the difference when you've got to pay the bills in the end. I think the £5 at a gig has got limited time, and I don't think it can last for that much longer. I think that promoters have got to realise that they're going to have to charge a bit more, to not only to cover their own asses, but just to make sure the band get a few bob. You know, and they've got to look at that sort of thing. And it's a pass on. It's a pass on. But life's changed, and sort of like costs have gone up of all sorts of things, especially with the likes of like just fuel on its own. So I think it's
that whole thing about I think it's definitely, what it comes to me, it comes from a point of making it adding a quality of value to a show. So for me, it's you have to reverse engineer it. So why doesn't someone come to a show? Because it's not good enough. Okay, well, how do we make it so it becomes a really viable thing for them to come and pay £8 or £10 or whatever to come to a show? And that comes with everything from the people you book, to how you book them, to the way you present the show, to how much like lead time you give into promoting it, to really make it worthwhile, to make it an event. Every show has to be an event that you've poured a time into, that you've thought about it. Matt Bonnell's a great example of this, as someone that does that. It really puts the lead time into a show and people to think about it, talks about why it makes sense to put these bands on, talks about the bands, really creates value to what's going on. So when someone turns up and you go, how much is it coming tonight? And you go, £8, you go, not a problem, because I know there's going to be a value here. There's no, it's going to be worth my money, you know, which is ridiculous when everybody talks about the price of a ticket being the same as the price of a cup of coffee, and no one seems to bitch about that, like, you know. But yeah, it all comes down to, if you're a venue and you're promoting, book quality, book interesting things that you think people will be interested in. Don't be afraid to take a risk and find something that works as well, and do that and try and look at that. If you're a band, help these people, support them, play different things with the set. When I saw Fallen Hope did a show and they played their album in full, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant. It really created a real special thing of that night, and it was fantastic. And I can't remember how much the ticket price was. I don't think it was a £5. I think it was a bit more. But what they did was they created a real urgency and a real thing of, like, this is an event. This is maybe one time we're going to do this, and it's an event, and it made it special. And creating special shows is something that everybody involved in the process. Yeah,
definitely. The other thing about promoters as well is, you know, you talked about before, like the old school way of providing like information to people was to go to places and flyer and poster and all that sort of thing. And years ago, that making posters and flyers and all that used to cost money, didn't it? To promote the show, you've got to have a bit of outlay, this, that, and the other. Right? Okay. Yeah. And you know the way nowadays people promote on the likes of Facebook, you know.
Yeah.
So what is the problem in paying for advertising on Facebook? Yeah. I have to. It doesn't cost the earth. It doesn't cost the earth. Yeah. It costs you. You can spend 30 quid on your show and promote it to a wider audience that you can possibly do than just on your own Facebook friends list. It gets out much further. Is
there this weird thing, Guy? Is there this weird thing where bands don't want to buy in enough to their show? Some bands out there now listening to this may consider that heresy that you're saying, pay to advertise. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, because I agree with you. I agree with you entirely. But they would be like, what? I'm going to have to pay money to advertise my band when there's already a promoter. What Ian's saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that, yes, you should do everything, anything that your band's doing, taking a fucking shit or playing a show, advertise it and spend your money like that. Why the fuck
Here we
do
go.
you think people advertise on television and on the back of a bus and stuff? Why do you think they fucking do that? Because advertising works. People do get advertised to and take that information in. And you should be, it's not the devil. Facebook isn't the devil. It might become the devil. But advertising that is the same as paying to have your record advertised on the radio or on the television. It's the same thing. It's just a different medium. So yeah, it doesn't cost that much to do that. It doesn't cost that much.
No. I mean, I've done my own shows, and I always pay a few bob on the Facebook business. And what you can do, you can actually specifically, or, you know, aim your advertising to a specific
you can target the
advertising parameters, like into specific groups or specific, like, people who have actually put, like, they like metal music. And they go so many in your area, like this, within a certain distance or whatever, there's like 6,000. It's going to cost you this for this long to advertise it. It's worth it, because not only if these people think, oh, well, it's only down the road and it's £8 and I've got nothing on Saturday, I'm going to turn up. Even if you get three or four of them turn through the door, you got your money back.
It's pure business thought here, isn't it? Is that, like, if you do 20 quid worth of advertising, let's just pull some figures out of Gorilla Maths here. If you do £20 worth of things, imagine someone buys 2 of your T-shirts and you're selling your T-shirts for a tenner.
Winner.
Well, straight away, that's looked after itself. And that's just 2 people out of the Christ knows how many thousands that will probably reach. It's just business. It's business, and it makes good business sense. Yeah, madness.
Definitely. Right, these tips for bands I've written down were quite interesting, if you want to listen.
Okay.
Right, just simple things like, you know, if a band has got just a singer, the number of times I see the singer just turn up and stand on the stage while all the rest of them are all plugging the gear in and what have you. And the singer doesn't move. instead of turning round and helping the drummer with the bloody cymbals. So
it's the oldest thing in the world, isn't it? Like, yeah.
That. Yeah, so there's always that. The singer needs to help the drummer out set of stuff, because there's always the drummer who's got more to set up than anybody, you know.
Yeah.
And if he says, well, I don't know how to set it up, well, I'll just sit in the practice room, practice in the practice room, and then it's done. You know, it gets done like much, much better. Right, the number of times you see bands who go, oh, I've snapped a string, anyone got a spare guitar we can lend? Right. At one band, as I say, it's got 2 guitarists, carry a spare guitar. You know,
it's incredible.
Like, and it doesn't have to be fantastic. It's only last minute, like we literally turn round, pick it up, plug it in, and they're going. It's sort of a bit logicy, bit like I'm talking like a Boy Scout here.
I've seen it happen. Ian, I've been at a show, I've seen someone break some strings, and I've seen them go over the mic. Has anybody got a guitar? And that will kill a show. I don't give a fuck how. I've seen videos online of BB King changing a string mid fucking song. Shut the fuck up. Get another guitar. Sort it out. It's honestly, it's unbelievable. When you go on tour, you have backups for fucking everything. You're not going to be able to turn around to your guitar hero of choice and go, well, I haven't got any more guitars, boss. Sorry. You know, it doesn't fucking work like that. Crazy.
Right. Okay. Here's another one. Even simpler. Okay. Right. Okay.
Okay.
Make sure you've got all your leads with you. Like that. Fucking hell. How easy is that? How easy is it to just have the right leads? And if you've got like, if you need have a spare guitar lead, it doesn't take any room up. You know. And when you finished your set, don't just grab it all in like a fucking bunch of snakes in an Indiana Jones fucking movie and throw it in your bag, because you rely on them leads to work next time. Amazing. And it doesn't work. If you look after the leads will look after you. There's another cliche for you.
Here's the thing, right? What as a band, what you're doing when you're playing these small shows, ladies and gentlemen, is you're practicing for when you become bigger and you play bigger shows. You're practicing for that. So when you play these shows in front of thousands of people, you've learned all these lessons before you get there. Ian and me are trying to teach you some of these, smart you up into some of these things before you.
It's simple stuff.
If you put your shit away badly, I guarantee it will bite you on the arse. People, one of the number one, I've been a guitar tech, one of the number one failings on a lead is because it's been put away shitly and hasn't been coiled correctly. It's just good sense. It's like, it's rode hard. It's, what is it, rode dry and put away wet or something like that. There's something like that where you just look after your fucking tools. Do you know what I mean? Look after your tools. If the best analogy I can give it is this, like, if you're going to war, you're damn sure that you've got fucking ammo. Yeah, if you haven't, you're going to get fucking shot. And a guitar cable is, the way I see it, is fucking ammo. That's the way I see it.
I need to be more aggressive, I think. Listening to you, I'm not sure if it's passion or just aggression. You want to go outside and punch a granny or something?
I think it's a bit of both. I've been stuck in the fucking house so long. I want to go out in the pit. I'm 45 and I still want to something up in the pit.
and the biggest one for me for young bands, right? Avoid pay-to-play gigs.
The real
do pay-to-play gigs. They will not serve you any purpose unless mummy and daddy have got loads of money to throw away, and you will get to play 20 minutes first in front of a 5-band thing in a big venue. Then for the experience alone, maybe once.
The problem with pay-to-play is, amongst many things, is if you keep doing them, if bands keep playing them, they will still exist. If bands stop playing them, they will cease to exist. It's a really bad practice, and it's normally run by people who don't have any inclination to improve the scene or of any kind. It's pure money. Pure money. And it's to be avoided.
Stop it. Or I'll smack you in the ass.
Or Ian's coming up. Ian's going to wake you up in the middle of the night with a fucking bat. Knock that shit in.
Strangle them with their fucking badly wrapped leads.
Amazing. Correct. Well, do you know what? We're laughing, and it's probably because of madness. because these things sound
crazy
so
what you
obvious
think.
to me, sound so obvious to you, but it happens, and it happens all the time.
Yeah. So, what else do we want to talk about?
Shit, have we done your list?
Let me have a look at it. If I missed anything off here. I've got a few people that I want to mention. That's fine. I'll do that in a minute.
Listen, okay, look.
Oh, right. Okay.
You've already
mentioned when you finished your set, right? You know when you got like, we started line up at sort of like 8 o'clock and the curfew's 11. So you got 4 bands to fit in. So you've got to take a certain time slot, right? When bands finish the set, right? It's much better for a band that are playing to get off as soon as possible to allow the next band on as soon as possible. You've already mentioned it, so you stole me thunder a little bit, but it's so important for not to lean down and get all your little friends coming on stage and hugging you and saying, "Oh, you were amazing! Like you're going to be Bon Jovi." Why does Bon Jovi keep on getting brought up? But
I think we
idea.
painted Bon Jovi as the devil, like, you know, but in many ways he might be. But the thing, what Ian's talking about though, is that when a band finishes, naturally the girlfriend of the band wants to rush up and kiss the singer for the set. Trust me, don't fucking do that, Rush to the fucking bar or rush to the merch stand. Okay, that's where, because any self-respecting band will be at one of those two things. Don't rush the stage. Fuck off so they can do the changeover. Because also curfews are very important. There's hard and there's soft curfews. And what I mean by a soft curfew is we finish at about 11 o'clock. Now, those are rare now. What more is you get hard curfews, and a hard curfew will be where at that point there is meant to be something else happening. So sometimes they'll have a dance night or whatever. There'll be something else going on where they want you fucking out the fucking building, and this all folds back into set times and overrunning. If you overrun, or if you're a bit of a dickhead setting up your stuff and all the rest of it, and the last band's got 10, 20 minutes, if it's a hard curfew, that's all they've got. No, they can't argue with anybody. The house shuts down. So completely agree. I mean, for me, a lot of these things, people will be listening and laughing, and I hope they are. Because some of them will be listening, laughing, and go, "How ridiculous that they're asking that." I hope they are. But I'm telling you now, when this coronavirus thing passes and we're allowed to go back into shows, there will be people who will still fucking fuck some stuff up, and we're just trying to help because we see it happening. And isn't it the most painful thing to watch, especially from the sound desk? Isn't it the most painful thing to watch?
I've got spares of stuff, right? You collect it over a period of time. That's the other thing as well. If you're a new band as well, make sure you take everything home with you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just ridiculous. People, bands are skint, but they leave shit behind. They leave shit behind the venues, and it's
all
only a
the time.
lead or this, that, and the other. But a lead, like a decent lead, can be a tenner, and they just leave
that's
behind.
why this
so
is practice.
I wrap the leads up and I just put it by me. If they come back the next day, I'll say, "Well, you left this behind." I don't want to lead, but if they're leaving it behind and someone comes in and says, "Have you got a guitar lead?" I go, "Well, yeah, they are."
That's why this practice for bands.
Say, "Well, it's not mine. You can have it," sort of thing.
When they get
pass it down the line.
When bands get bigger and they go out on tour, where you're most of the time playing night after night, sometimes twice a day, but certainly playing night after night, maybe only 1 or 2 days off. And you have to set up and pack down relentlessly. If you don't get in the habit of doing your idiot checks and checking everything's there, you're going to lose stuff. And you'll be like, "Where's my fucking guitar pedal? It's in Bremen, Germany. Where's that? 300 miles away from the fucking last show, you fucking idiot. And we can't get you." But I used that particular guitar pedal for the intro to so-and-so. Not tonight, you not dickhead.
No.
Check your stuff and make sure you've got it. This is all practice for when you become professional. This is all practice for it. And the sooner you get this stuff learned and under your fingers, the better you are and the better experience you'll have. You can't afford to leave stuff at a venue. Average guitar cable, £15, £20. Average pedal, £100. These are expensive things. You need to be taking that shit with you. Yeah. Crazy.
Like, it's tools of your trade. You shouldn't be like neglecting it or being so sort of like enthralled in your fame, like at that night, and you've got like your 5 mates watching you or whatever, that you forget your guitar pedals and what have you. It's a bit daft.
Listen, we're coming up to nearly 2 hours.
Yay!
And so let's start maybe winding down. Let's do the shout outs. You said there's some people you want to mention. Let's mention those people by all means.
Now you're the Spoken Metal Show. You support the local metal scene and stuff like that. Definitely. So as far as I can see, that there's obviously there's some people which I think deserve a mention, and because of what they've done and things that they've done. Obviously, Joe Mortimer. Now he's in it. Yes. He's a tremendous promoter on the scene, and he's obviously got his larger what is it called, the bigger gigs that he does.
Yes, the Festival Slam, UK Slam.
That's it. Right. Okay. Yeah. He needs a mention because he knows his shit.
He does.
Joe. And he's such a nice bloke as well, and him and his girlfriend and stuff. When they turn up when you do shows with us, so props to you guys for making things easy for me when we do gigs.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Another guy as well, which in the metal scene in Liverpool, Andy Hughes. You know, he does Deathwave. You
Andy Hughes, the boss. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So he's very strong, and I'm not sure where he is at the moment. He may be coming back into the scene again.
I think so.
A bit of an up and down life, poor Andy, but he's such a nice bloke, you know. But again, he's a decent promoter because he knows his shit.
He does,
and he knows a lot of people as well. So, like, if any young band is looking to get into the scene and stuff, tap up Andy Hughes at Deathwave, and it's well worth the push.
Couldn't recommend him more. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Local artists, Danny Moran. You know him.
Yes.
You know him very well. From Reaper. I've known Danny for such a long, quite a while now actually.
Yeah.
First met Danny when it did. Do you know a lady called Hez Phoenix?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I actually she got married.
Yeah.
And well, basically she got let down by an awful lot of things. Maybe you were there at her wedding. I'm not sure.
I don't think so, but I think I remember it.
Well, anyway, she got let down with all sorts of things at a venue, a sound system, a band, and everything.
Yeah.
This, that, and the other. She basically had nothing, you know, for after a wedding, for a venue, or whatever. So she managed to get a venue. Danny was with Reaper, and she got Reaper to play, but didn't have anything. So I was at a loose end. So I said, well, you know what, right? I'm just going. It was only round the corner from where I lived. So I just carted all my gear up there. You know, I said to her, I don't want pain, you know, happy wedding day and all that. Reaper played. They found some DJ as well. So they had a nice night, you know. It was a good night. I enjoyed that as well. So props to Danny for doing that as well with his guys and that.
Yeah.
But they've done really well since. They've done a bit of Bloodstock, haven't they, and stuff.
They've done really well. Yeah, he's been on twice on the show, Dan. Always good, always positive, always got lots of interesting things to say. Like real motivated guy, like as well.
Talent as well, very.
Yes, great player, great player.
And he was. I remember he done Bloodstock. I think it was the first time, and I lent him a brand new microphone to go on stage without.
Oh yeah, lovely. He's a nice, ladies and gentlemen, he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. He's a nice sound guy. He's a nice guy.
Just swear a lot.
Yeah, just swear a lot. That's how we get it out.
Obviously, our friends and your friends divide from Uppins and Talons. Now they are going places. Them guys. All they need is that little extra, tiny little push and a bit of luck, and they'll be on the big scene. No problem. They'll be supporting some big artists.
They are. To keep it blunt, they are next.
Definitely.
They are.
Couldn't agree more.
I'll probably wear this. I'll probably wear that tomorrow on the live show. But yeah, AFI, superb. I'll probably wear that on the live show. Yeah.
Mention some promotion people that I've worked with in Outpost and Maguire and Pilgrim and what have you. Dead Sounds, Rob Scott with Death Sounds, Antipop.
Yes, Antipop.
Tony Vermin and what have you from Antipop and all them guys and ladies who deal with that as well. Such nice people. I've enjoyed me working with them all this time. Sounds like a sort of like I'm going to die tomorrow or something. Like me epitaph or something.
Yeah, you just honestly, you're just shedding the spotlight on. All these names are familiar to me, but they might not be familiar to other people. You know,
there's another punk promoter, Revenge of the Riff. You may have heard.
Yeah, Matt.
Matt Bunnell. They're nice people as well. They run a nice gig, nice tight ship, as they say. Yeah. And the other one is one of the longest from when I started engineering. One of the bands that I've known for the longest is a punk band from Warrington called Hummer. You may have heard of them.
I know them. Yeah.
Yeah, Will Atkinson and Tom and Caney. They're a three-piece now. But Will Atkinson is by far and away the best bass player in fucking the north of England by a long way.
Yeah.
That guy is incredible.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so big props to Will as well. You know, we're all thinking about you. And at every gig at a Hummer, you'll always find me shouting "Fight Star" at the back because he loves me doing that. Like, because it goes back to a gig we did in St Helens. Maybe you could get him on the show because he'd be an interesting guy to chat to, honestly.
Most definitely.
But like, he'll tell you the story as well, so that's one for the future.
Okay.
Right, anything else we can talk about?
Listen, fucking hell, we could talk about this. Clearly, ladies and gentlemen, we need to get Ian back on the show. We need to get it back on the show because this has been great. We're nearly up to 2 hours. We could do another 2 without breaking a sweat, no problem at all. And I strongly urge that everybody, when he listens to this show, those names that Ian was talking about, check out those people because they're all promoters who need your help. They need to, certainly if you're into metal, most definitely if you're into punk as well. These are people that put on shows regularly. They need you to go to these fucking shows. They need you to start following the stuff that they're doing. Otherwise, this becomes an echo chamber and nothing moves forward. Now, we've laughed and joked about some of the stuff, and some of the stuff's pretty serious as well. But if you take anything from this, know that there are people like Ian out there, and you don't see them. They're in the shadows. A lot of the time, they're behind the desk, and you don't really know he's there. If it's a shit gig, you'll know if he's there or not because you'll know. But what I wanted to say is, on behalf of everybody that goes to the Outpost and the shows, thank you for what you do. Sound guys often get the shit end of the stick. When it's great, no one talks about it. When it's shit, everybody puts them to bed. And it's like, it's very important to do. And like I say, people like yourself and what the Outpost are doing is the way that we're going to get out of the problems that we have with the live scene. It just requires a bit of determination. So I think a lot of people will listen to this and go, ha ha ha, that was funny. But I think there's some large elements of truth and stuff that they can take away as well, and maybe have a strong look at the way their band acts and the way they act as a promoter. Listen, I knew this would be fun. I knew this would be fun because we've had those conversations and I knew it would be. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ian Andrews, how good was that? That was fun.
Sitting down there with Ian Andrews, and it really was, it's one of the funniest, certainly one of the funniest shows I've done in quite some time. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the listeners enjoyed that. And like I said, there was almost an underbelly of a very serious sort of things to talk about there. Things that, as a young band or as an older band who maybe haven't, weren't aware that that's what was pissing off a sound guy or a venue owner or whatever. I try and inform as best I can, and the guests I get on and try and give us really nice sort of insights into that world to make it always come from a positive stance, always trying to make it so it's more everybody gets on better, the shows run smooth, everybody understands what's going on, and kind of give a little bit of an insight. And I think Ian did a really good job of that. He comes across as a very sort of there's my list of things that I want to cover, but they're all valid points, and he comes across quite tough, but it's all very fair. But don't let that fool you. Ian's a super nice gentleman, super nice guy. He's the patience of a saint for a sound guy, and possibly one of the best sound guys in the Northwest, certainly to the shows that I've been. So we'll definitely have him on again. It's really fabulous sitting down with him. And once again, I hope you enjoyed it. It's getting hot now, so it's tough being inside sometimes. So if you can get out and grab a beer and sit in your garden if you've got one, it's nice that I'm getting people saying that they listen to this show and it takes their mind off, the bad times that are going on at the moment. That's all I ever wanted to be. And hopefully if we can inform and help the young bands and existing bands with their journey into whichever way they want to go, then that's I'm grateful for that. I had a lot of feedback telling me that people enjoy this show, which is amazing. It's still amazing. And I encourage people to keep messaging me, keep suggesting who I should get on the show. If I should go on someone else's podcast, maybe that's something that should happen. And bands I should listen to. I've got a ferocious appetite for new bands, and I'm constantly getting sent amazing stuff. People saying there's not much great new music out there. They are wrong. There's fucking tons of it. I'm inundated with it, and I want to keep being inundated with it. So please, if you're in a band, send me any of your bits and pieces. I will check it out. I don't necessarily review stuff, but I certainly shout from the rooftops about the stuff I like. Once again, folks, I promise we're near at the end now. We're really near the end of. Gigs we can see them here. If we stand on our tiptoes, we can see gigs from here now. They're very close. So I will see you at those shows.